Thank you, sir. I would appreciate that. Thank you very much for coming. Yash, Mataji. As I was driving today, one of my niece, who's 9, 10, 11, 12, she said, "Are you watching Super Bowl?" Oh, I said, "Today is Super Bowl." Okay, that's good to know. So thank you for coming on a Super Bowl Sunday. All right. So we'll do the next of instruction today. And so are we on text 6? Or so we can do a quick recap and then we'll go. But before we do, what do we do? Mangalacharan prayers. And then seriously consider our prayers as a fervent appeal to Krishna to help us understand this knowledge and be situated stronger in devotional service. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Adha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhayascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we will do a quick recap on the verses of Nectar of Instruction. And Durga, you do not have a book. Maybe there are some books in the front. You can come in. Those who don't have, they can either sit in the front or the books can be passed, or you can just look up on the screen. So anything is fine. All right. Text 1. The translation of text 1 is a sober person who can tolerate. Okay, what are the 6 urges? Quiz questions. Hare Krishna. Urges of? Don't look on the screen. A speech? Krodh, anger? Manasa, mind? Jiva, tongue. Udarapastha, genitals. What is the belly? Thank you. So, a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples in the Bay Area. All over the world. Okay, don't look up. Second, what are the 6 things that actually destroy the devotional service? Atyahar means too much, overeating or over collecting. Okay, prayasa is over endeavor, right? Prajalpa. Prajalpa, what does prajalpa mean? Unnecessary talking. Okay, prajalpa. Then? Niyamagraha. Niyamagraha means following the rules and regulations. So you shouldn't follow the rules and regulations. In a ritualistic way. Okay. Or what does niyamagraha also mean? Rejecting them. So either following the rules and regulations for the sake of following without understanding that why we are following, or whimsically rejecting them and just going on your own kind of situation. Okay. Niyamagraha. Then what is the next? Greedy. Okay. And then Janasanga. Janasanga means associating with people, worldly people. Why is that? Because the more you associate with people, the more you develop those kinds of desires. Because it is mentioned that if you intimately associate with someone who constantly smokes, it's not just a matter of if, but it's a matter of when. And it's natural. It's just natural that it can happen. Welcome, Jagarini Mataji. Very well. Then what is the third? So did we cover all the 6? Okay. What is the third one? Favorable for devotional services. Utsaha means enthusiasm. Nischayat means with confidence. And then dhairyat, patience. And then tat karma pravartanat means following the footsteps of the previous acharyas. No, tat karma pravartanat means performing the activities of devotional service, like hearing and chanting. And sangatyagat, again the thing is, here if you can see, this one thing overlaps between the second and third. Janasangascha means associating with worldly minded people, and then sangatyagat. So you can see Srila Rupa Goswami, who is giving all these instructions in a very succinct and a very terse fashion, is emphasizing this more than once. So it's of paramount importance that we discussed also this at length on how to associate with worldly minded people. We cannot actually set fire, have a wall around our cubicle at office and set fire to it. Because it is said in the Shastras, it is better to be situated in a cage which is burning with lions and tigers and snakes rather than to associate with worldly minded persons. So the Shastras can go to such an extent, but on a practical level, it is just not possible. Neither is it realistic to take that kind of utterly conservative right-wing approach to this kind of things. We have to moderate it, especially in Silicon Valley. And it becomes all the more important because when Srila Prabhupada started the society, there was practically no congregations. Everybody was full-time. So this was easy to practice. You don't need it to associate with worldly minded people kind of thing, unless you went on book distribution and so on. But in the congregation-based thing, it really becomes an important fact that we know how to associate without causing too much disturbance. Sangatyagat, Satovritte is following the footsteps of previous acharyas. Fourth we discussed is 6 kinds of loving exchanges amongst devotees, which is accepting prasad and offering prasad, giving charity or giving gifts and receiving gifts, and the third is, yes, thank you much, inquiring, revealing one's mind confidentially and inquiring. On this note, I really encourage the members of our congregation to have a strong, trusting relationships amongst the devotees. While we are all the members of the ISV, if we do not have a friend, a confidant, a trusted person whom you can really share your heart without being judged or discriminated or being condemned upon, it's the best thing to do amongst the devotees. It's important that we can have such loving relationships. Often in the temple dynamics, we find that the larger, bigger mission type of picture comes into play at the personal cost of our own deep, strong friendships. And I do remember some time ago where, Nirakula Mataji and Jagrini Mataji, they really said that you need to collect friends. You need to really collect friends amongst devotees. And because Rupa Goswami has said it, it implies that the devotee to whom you reveal your mind is keeping that vow of confidentiality so that that sacred friendship is preserved. More often than not, what happens is, if there is no deep, meaningful relationships amongst the devotees, then you tend to find that sympathetic ear or a shoulder to cry upon, often amongst non-devotees. And our own faith becomes weakened. I have been working for this community for so many years and doing so much of service, yet when in time of need, I really don't have one person to kind of reveal my heart to. So Rupa Goswami, it's not like we are making a sentimental stuff. It actually helps because Rupa Goswami himself has said. It's something deep and meaningful. You can look around. You don't have to, at least try. That's all I ask. I hope you can, but if not, then there is always devotees who can help. But to have that is very important. Often, what happens is, we don't like to share our heart because, we may be falling short of certain standards and we might be condemned, or they might look upon us as a quote-unquote lesser devotee, or even in fact worst non-devotee. But the whole idea of having association of devotees is to encourage each other through good and bad, through our strengths and through our weaknesses. Make sense? Yeah. So if we make endeavor, I'm sure Krishna will help us. And those sort of spiritual relationships actually nurture and help us advance in spiritual life. Because one of the surveys that was conducted many, many years ago on why sannyasis could not maintain their vows was because they didn't have relationships amongst their own god brothers whom they could reveal their heart to. So, and if you are acting as a person who's receiving that friendship, then we also take care to listen attentively and not be judgmental. Or there is a whole class on how to listen. Probably we can have that at some point of time. Just if you can express your heart to a person who listens to you without being judgmental, without trying to fix the problem, or without just trying to cut you off, your heart will be 50% lighter and the problem gets solved right there. So each of us can inculcate those kinds of skills within ourselves. It could be not only amongst the devotees, but also amongst the family members, because my family member is also a devotee. And we take time to listen and nurture. It could be our child, it could be our spouse, it could be our parents. So it really helps to build. Questions, comments, concerns? Yes, Jagrini Mataji. Please, somebody give her the mic.
It's on. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, I appreciate this point so much because it's been one of the things that I think the devotees ask me more than any other question when they see my relationships with my god sisters. They're asking, how is it you're so close to your god sisters? How is it that you relish their association so much? And I think that there's two parts to it. Mm-hmm. And the one part is being able to approach someone in friendship. Mm-hmm. But a big, important part of it is each one of us cultivating the qualities in ourselves to be hard on ourselves and easy on others.
Right.
To not be judgmental. Because your nature is your nature, and if you're not working on these things and someone approaches you in friendship, right, your mind will immediately go either judge them or, yes, and they can feel that.
Yes.
So it's seeking the friendship and also being able to be a friend.
Right.
And those things speak to our purification and ability to go back to Godhead as well.
Wonderful.
And when you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita and you hear about the ecstasy that Lord Chaitanya had with his associates, that's what Prabhupada gave us, the ability to do that. And my experience is, I have experienced today a very recent experience. I was given a gift just last week. My god sister Vishaka, she's the devotee who followed Prabhupada everywhere and took all the photographs, Yadubara and Vishaka. And I never had association with her in my Krishna consciousness because she was always just with Prabhupada. And she never lived in Los Angeles. She never was close to me. But I received this gift and she signed it. I feel like she's my best friend now, and I've always admired her from a distance because she was always such an example of grace, and at a time where the women were pushed to the back a lot, but she was right there next to Prabhupada, and she handled herself so nicely, and I just was an admirer, and now I feel close to her. And I think that the ability to feel close to God sisters and God brothers actually comes from the process. You don't have to even be with them. If you're doing this properly, you'll feel those things. So I really like this point. Sorry I'm going on so long, but this is important to me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that realization. It's amazing. It's just very practical of what we are trying to do. So the fourth is over, the fifth, right? Any questions on the fourth? Text 4? All right. Text 5, we discuss about 3 kinds of devotees. The text 5, the translation is, one should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation Diksha and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So these are, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about 3 kinds of devotees: the beginner, the intermediate, and the advanced. The Sanskrit terms are Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama. So what are some of the qualities of beginner devotee? Is that the faith is soft, it's pliable. The arguments can be overturned by those who have stronger arguments or stronger intellect. Often there is a tendency for some material gain when you serve Krishna, and then the devotee might not have that ability to deal in a proper way with other devotees, because when they come, they think that Krishna is the supreme, and then I don't have to worry or really mind so much about other devotees. But when we advance to the Madhyama, then what are the qualities? What is the faith on the level of Madhyama? The faith is very strong. And how about scriptural knowledge?
It's not very strong, but he has a strong faith in chanting.
You have to use the mic. Sorry.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The knowledge of Shastra is not very strong for
You have to keep to
Madhyama.
it.
The knowledge of Shastra is not very strong, but the faith in chanting the Mahamantra or the devotional service is very strong for Madhyamadikari.
Excellent. Can a Madhyama Adhikari defeat others in terms of scriptural injunctions and arguments? Probably not. But others can't influence him or her from the path of Krishna. They can't be deviated from that path. And what is the outlook with the others? Those who are with the Supreme Lord and His devotees, He makes friendship. And with those who are ignorant and weak, compassion. He preaches and makes sure. For those who are atheists and envious, you avoid or ignore them. And then for those who are on your same level or equals, then you also make friendship. So that is Madhyama. And then Uttama Adhikari is the personality who is completely not differentiating on who is engaged and who is not engaged in service of Krishna. To that Uttama Adhikari, everybody is engaged in service of Krishna, either through the material or through spiritual. And the faith is supremely strong. They can counter the arguments of others using the scriptural injunctions. And as Srila Rupa Goswami has a very distinct and a remarkable feature is they have lost their tendency to criticize, or they completely are devoid of that propensity to criticize. But having said that, so one argument that people I heard in the past make is that Srila Prabhupada was an Uttama Adhikari, but we can see that there was a strong sense of criticism when it came to certain matters. There are a couple of ways we can explain that. You had something to say?
Oh, I could.
Yes, go for it, please.
Srila Prabhupada personally had no critical inclination. It was obvious in his teachings, in his presence, in his writings. But sometimes for teaching us and to help us know what to avoid and what he would emphasize, and it could sound like criticism,
Right.
but it was more instruction.
Excellent, thank you. And the other point I wanted to add is he never criticized the persons. It was either the philosophical aspect that he would find issues with, or in general, he would be very strong against those who would mislead people into wrong practices and thus lose their faith. Because try to understand that personality who came to America in 1965, all he could see around was really people who were not qualified to accept this. But had he taken that critical outlook, he would have never come to the West and preached in the first place to begin with. That he saw the spark of divinity in everyone and encouraged that spark, but at the same time, because he had to nurture his budding disciples to discriminate, and he had to do that, otherwise they would also get involved, everything is okay. There would neither be institutional standards, neither there would be any sort of what is to be done and what is not to be done. Because Krishna does say in that. In the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when he points out the divine and the demoniac nature, he says the demons do not know what is to be done, what is not to be done. But as a devotee, we need to know, at least in the beginning stages. Otherwise, everything is okay. Smoking, whatever you need to, that's fine, it's okay, it's all God, it's all okay. Because that was the hallmark or the trademark of most of the people or the yogis who came to the West. And Prabhupada, if he hadn't shown that sort of critical tendency, there was no question of discrimination, everybody would have followed the same thing. So as an Acharya, he had the right. And please understand, because it was not out of malice or out of false ego or out of to build prestige, people were able to accept it. And it became a worldwide success. So, where we come, so you might say, then what about us? Prabhupada, you said you shouldn't criticize, but he criticized. So what about me? Well, we are not on that level to kind of use the same critical aspect of Srila Prabhupada used. As in the beginning stages, there is also this injunction that if you criticize, and especially a Vaishnava, because in the beginning stages you might not know properly who is a Vaishnava and who is not. In fact, we are learning now to discriminate. And we use our critical tendencies to go ahead and criticize, then we have a strong chance of committing Vaishnava aparadha. Therefore, in the beginning stages, let's not criticize as much as we can. If there are situations you need to, I can understand you should. So, for example, we have the CPO program. Now, if you see something really harmful or injurious, you have to report. You just can't simply say, oh, that is God's will, everything is fine. No, please use your discrimination. You get my point? This is a critical thing that we need to understand. Questions, concerns. Because we are here to discuss threadbare. There are always in the scriptures, there is this rule and there is exactly a rule which is opposite to the same rule. There is this thing about Uttamadhikari, but in the practical life. So we kind of reconcile both the aspects, without which you won't have a holistic understanding. We'll take either this side or that side. Yesterday I had briefly, before we went off for the Bhakti Vriksha program, I briefly attended Madhavananda Prabhu's lecture in Jagannath Puri. The devotees are going there. It's like, Jesus said it, I believe it, that's it. And he was saying that, Prabhupada said it, I believe it, that's it. So, but the idea, Srila Prabhupada himself said, discuss my books from all angles and discuss it threadbare. So that our understanding is not just based on some emotional attachment, but actually through a strong intellectual argument. The goal of this Bhakti Shastri is actually that each and every one of you has this divine power to preach the message of Prabhupada. And if you sit together and understand, you can be not only strong within your own heart, but also you can take this message to others without either being overly critical or without being overly submissive and presenting the truth as it is. Does that make sense? Thank you, Lauren. Thank you. You had something to add? Some reflection? So that is the idea. Yes, Ji.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhu, to your last point, following something very staunchly, that actually brings us to this topic of religious orthodoxism, like becoming religious orthodox or too much fanatic. I have seen a lot of devotees in my several years in this movement here. Across all the world, I have met different people, different devotees, brahmacharis, grastas, different kind of devotees, and sometimes I see a feeling of religious fanaticism in different group, and they reach to any extent in criticizing others and the movement, other devotees, and then setting forth their principle, their philosophy, or maybe Prabhupada's philosophy, but how they perceive it to be, and then put on Facebook and long posts and long videos and everything, and that actually is kind of leaving a bad impression on society about this movement.
Well, I do agree with what you said, but the topic we can take it offline. But I'll leave it with one short thought on that. In any religious society or in any political, social sphere, there are always people who take the book and beat others, and who can use the book to be liberal. So there is always this conservative versus liberal side. It's there pretty much most of the places. And even within ISKCON also it is there. So, so who's right, who's wrong is going to kind of consume the next few hours, which will be deviating us from this topic. But there are always people like that. So anyway, we can take it offline, maybe, or some other time when we get a chance. Then it's a very healthy debate to have, even within ISKCON. How would you propose? Very conservative, ultra conservative versus the liberal, very or watered down version. Where is your take? So it's a healthy debate to have, but this might not be the best of the forum. But Jagrini Mataji had some thought, some concluding thought on that. So it can open up.
Just a little quick. I think that when it comes to that type of decision on the word balance, you spoke a lot about that previously.
Right.
So, and also tempered with, hard on yourself, easy on others. So sometimes devotees impose too much harshness on themselves, and it shows how they treat others or how their disposition is. Prabhupada wanted us to be joyful. He really wanted us to be happy. I mean, even in a playful sort of way. In Los Angeles, he would say things. One time he told the women, if you all will wear ankle bells to Artik, then I will dance. So, Prabhupada told us to wear ankle bells. We used to wear ankle bells. He liked that because it would make more noise in the temple room.
Jingling sound.
And then he said he would dance if we all wore. So he really liked us to be happy. And actually, when you're not happy, it's a sign something's wrong. So you can be as strict with yourself as you can handle. It's a good thing, but you should always watch that. Watch how much you really can handle, that you're happy.
Right. Thank you, Mataji. The other point is also, what is our adhikar, or what's my level? Based on that, I'll also act. You can be harsh, and you can be harsh and getting harsher and harsher. At one point, you just give it away. You just like, I'm being so strict, and everybody is like just loose footing, and it's not going to happen. You get frustrated. So you also sometimes have to be forgiving yourself. So there is, but you have to be strict, as Mataji said. But again, if you have good friendships that you can share, then even the best and the strictest of the devotees need some help at times. So it will help to open the heart. Make sense? Go ahead, Kushan.
Prabhuji, I just would like to share something that I have come across. Like while following the regulative principles and while following a certain sadhana schedule, so if initially when I would be very strict on myself, like 6 o'clock Mangalarti, and then we have to do japa and listening to Prabhupada lecture and then reading. That's the minimum that we have to, that I used to like have on my schedule. But sometimes it would be really, really hard to follow all these 4 things every day. So especially when I was doing my master's program.
Yeah.
And towards the final semester, I discussed with some devotees that I'm having hard time doing my sadhana. And then I got this understanding that I have to focus on minimum things like chanting my rounds. May not be other things like Mangalarti, but chanting 16 rounds and following 4 regulative principles. So when I followed that, I felt much better. So I just wanted to share that actually I was making other devotees also do that, and they were feeling so difficult staying with me. I felt so better, and I realized that I was being so harsh with other devotees as well, while I was becoming harsh with myself, and I was making others' life terrible at the same time. So
nice realization. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. All right, we completed text 5, right? Did we? Okay. Text 6, did we do? Or did we not? I think we did text 6. I did mention Jaipatak Maharaj. Let's read the translation, and then we, or maybe in this semester or previous semester. Anyways. We did, right? Yeah, text 6, but we'll just do the translation. Somebody wants to read? Okay, Shravya, why don't you read just the translation? Please give her a mic. By the way, this young lady sitting here is Shravya. She's my niece. She She just moved to Bay Area about a year ago after she got married to someone who's working here. And she's been very enthusiastic to come to the temple. So thank you for coming. So please read the entire translation.
Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee's having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Gangas, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganga's waters do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Gangas without considering the condition of the water.
Thank you. So some examples. Can somebody bring up some examples in this connection?
The yogi.
Yeah, good.
Prabhu, in Lord Chaitanya's Leela, we see the example of Vasudev, the leper, who was really so advanced. But his bodily condition was that he was rejected by everyone.
Excellent.
So,
very nice point. Everybody knows the story? And Swapnil, maybe you have to tell the story then.
So Vasudev was a leper. And leprosy, since it's a very contagious disease and the body gets so deformed, like the bodily parts start melting. And even the body stinks. So in such a condition, he was totally rejected by the society. But his inner consciousness was so high. He considered it to be a blissful situation, that in such a situation I have nothing to, there's no possibility of pride arising in my heart and me forgetting the Lord. So he even there were worms who would live on his wounds. And he considered that his body belongs to the worms as much as it belongs to him. He saw that even those worms are parts of Krishna as spirit souls. And whenever any worm would fall, he would pick it up and put it back. So that was his consciousness.
Thank you. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling to South India and Vasudev Dutt wanted to desperately meet him. And Mahaprabhu I believe it was in Kurmakshetra. Please correct me if I am wrong. So he was in Kurmakshetra and he took darshan of the temple and he left that place onward with his travels. And Vasudev Datta wanted to desperately meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when somebody told him that he already had departed, he felt intensely morose that I could not meet the Lord. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the omniscient personality who is in everyone's heart. And when he became aware of Vasudev Datta's desire, he actually turned around and came back to meet him. And Vasudev Datta was saying, please don't come near me, my Lord. And he came and he embraced him. And as soon as Mahaprabhu embraced Vasudev Datta, all his leprosy was completely gone and his body became healthy, blissful and very beautiful. And so Vasudev Datta, as Swapnil says, he said, please don't make me proud now that I have got all this back. So that was his earnest plea. Thank you. Any other examples? Okay, Vishwanath and then Shravya.
Avadut Brahman from Bhagavatam, where apparently he had a very fat body. So, I mean, we can think like. But he was a pure devotee. Prahlad Maharaj could.
Thank you. Yes, Mother going through.
Jada Bharat.
Jada Bharat?
Yeah, he was, when he was carrying when he was the son of the Brahmanas, no one could understand how great he was. He was keeping silent actually always. And then eventually when he was made to carry the palanquin of King Rahugana, that time he spoke up actually.
Excellent. Thank you for bringing it up. Actually, it is mentioned in Bhagavatam that Jadabharat did not bathe for many days. And his Brahman thread that he carried around became black because of the dirt. His hair was all shaggy and ragged, and he was covered with soot, and nobody could recognize. Bhagavatam says it's like a fire being covered by a pot. So that was thank you for bringing it up. Yeah, Shravya, you had something, and then...
I don't remember the name of the lady in this, but this was when Krishna just returned to Mathura after having grown up in Vrindavan. And he's walking around after having defeated one of the demons in the wrestling match. He's walking around, and a young lady comes up. Right.
Kubja.
I'm not sure about the name, but then she comes up to him, and then she wants to put sandalwood, but she's heavily deformed in her back, so she slouches over, so she's not able to reach Krishna and Balrama's shoulders to put the sandalwood. So he leans forward, puts the right leg on hers, and then lifts her by the chin, and then eventually she's able to stand up.
Thank you. Wonderful. Yashi. Yeah, Madhavi Mataji first.
Those hippies you turned into devotees, happies.
Oh, yes. Hippies into happies. Yes, Yashi.
One example that I remember from one of the lectures from Srila Prabhupada, he mentions about Lord not looking at the physical state of the person, like Hanuman. He was not even a human. He belonged to ape family, and still Ram loved him the most.
Nice.
So that's the way, not only humans, but that this philosophy extends to beyond human race.
Wonderful. Thank you. All valid points. So does this whole idea sink into the thing properly? I'll also have my humble contribution. Who was Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's spiritual master? And he was an aristocrat living in a royal palace with fine clothing and the most learned person at that time. No, so we get the story. But here is the beauty though. So if one... Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, he was a very learned scholar at that time, and he was having all the knowledge. Yet he approached the spiritual master who was so-called illiterate. He couldn't even write his name, but he found and he accepted, to the point that Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj refused thrice. And then Bhakti Siddhanta said, if you don't accept me, then I'm really going to give up my life. They can do that, but don't try to imitate nowadays. Put your spiritual master in more anxiety. Usually they do it here in ISKCON with not much of difficulty. Because Gaur Kishore, at that time, the spiritual master was that qualified and the disciple was that qualified. So that was a nice pastime at that point of time. Now if you go and say, if you don't give me initiation, I'm going to kill myself, please don't try it at home. All right, let's do the text 7. And if Krishna so desires, we'll really make some rapid progress today. Madhavi Mataji, you are going to read the translation, but I'm going to do the Sanskrit because we haven't done the text 7 yet. Right? Any other questions up till this point? Or we can go ahead. Let us go ahead, and then we can do that. Kindly repeat after me. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya Pittopatapta Rasanasya Narochikanu Kintvadarādanudinam khalu shaiva jushta Swadvikramad bhavati tadgatamulahantri. So, Madhavi, you do the translation. Your good husband can do the first paragraph of the purport, and then we can continue like that.
The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendentally sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet. It is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root.
Does anyone need light, or is everybody just me?
Purport. The holy name of Lord Krishna, his pastimes, his quality, his pastimes, and so forth are all of the nature of absolute truth, beauty, and bliss. Naturally, they are very sweet like sugar candy, which appeals to everyone. Nescience, however, is compared to the disease called jaundice, which is caused by bilious secretions. Attacked by jaundice, the tongue of a diseased person cannot palatably relish sugar candy. Rather, a person with jaundice considers something sweet to taste very bitter. Avidya, or ignorance, similarly prevents the ability to relish the transcendently palatable name, quality, form, and pastimes of Krishna. Despite this disease, if one with great care and attention takes to Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name and hearing Krishna's transcendental pastimes, his ignorance will be destroyed and his tongue enabled to taste the sweetness of the transcendental nature of Krishna and his paraphernalia. Such a recovery of spiritual health is possible only by the regular cultivation of Krishna consciousness.
Thank you. Actually, forgive me, Vijay Prabhu. Actually, if you go a little up, it's a very profound statement Srila Prabhupada makes. If you go a little up, okay, still more. Perverts, if you can look up the word perverts. It's so avidya, ignorance. If you can see that, yes. Srila Prabhupada uses the word perverts. So it's the same name of Krishna, but under the ignorance, we really think that that is something really nasty. Perversion is something that takes something really good and turns it into something really negative. Right? So, any questions on this? Okay, let's keep going. Next, wants to read? Okay, what is the diseased condition of life? Because in the translation, the diseased condition of life is destroyed. It's written yes or yes. But what is diseased condition of life? Avidya. Okay. Srila Prabhupada actually clarifies that in the disease symptoms are mentioned in the first line of the next paragraph, whoever is reading, just to kind of focus on that.
When a man in the material world takes more interest in the materialistic way of life than in Krishna consciousness, he is considered to be in a diseased condition.
All right.
The normal condition is to remain an eternal servant of the Lord, Jivera Swarupa Haya Krishnira Nityadas. This healthy condition is lost when the living entity forgets Krishna due to being attracted by the external features of Krishna's Maya energy. This world of Maya is called Durashraya, which means false or bad shelter. One who puts his faith in Durashraya becomes a candidate for hoping against hope. In the material world, everyone is trying to become happy, and although their material attempts are baffled in every way, due to their nations, they cannot understand their mistakes. People try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. This is the way of the struggle for existence in the material world. If one in this condition is advised to take to Krishna consciousness and be happy, he does not accept such instructions.
So I have a question. So basically, your movement is trying to convert everyone into servants. You're just smashing the self-esteem and self-confidence in a person. Isn't that true? Because you're saying we should be servant. So, the mic is right behind you, Madhav Govinda Prabhu.
But it's a nature of individual soul to be a servant. Either he is serving Krishna or he is serving Maya.
Excellent. Please elaborate.
So when every living entity has a tendency to serve in some way or the other. If he is either serving his family members, he's serving his nation, he's serving his country. If there is no one, he's serving a dog, or someone or the other is serving. So, but that tendency is to serve is just because he wants to be happy. That's the way he finds happiness. But because the living entities whom he is trying to serve, they cannot give him the complete reciprocation that he is looking for. He is not satisfied. So, the actual satisfaction can come when he serves Krishna, because that is the original relationship which he has.
Excellent. Thank you. Because Srila Prabhupada writes, what is dharma? Right? Dharma means that's something you cannot take out of. Or dharma is the very core characteristics of something or someone. Taking it out, then that person is not who or thing that it is. For example, I made this example, just I'll make it brief. I'll come to you and give you some white substance. Don't be alarmed, white substance. And say it is salt. And you put it in the mouth, and actually it is sweet. Will you accept it as salt? What will you say? It is? Sugar. Yeah. So white substance, don't be alarmed. So the nature of something being called a sugar is it's sweet. If you take the sweetness out of sugar, then is it sweet? So dharma, or the nature of soul or atma, is to serve. Taking out that out of the soul, atma is not that nature. So our nature is to serve. And for someone who says, I don't serve my family, I don't serve my country, I don't serve my business customers, I'm nothing, are you going to serve your own mind? That you can't. Are you going to serve your own senses? So you have to serve. Better use that propensity, as Madhava Govinda Prabhu said, in serving Krishna, because your heart will be completely satisfied. Because that's the nature, that's what you're seeking, birth after birth. To serve someone, and the reciprocation is so intense that you get such high pleasure in that service that you don't want to go anywhere else to serve, or anyone else to serve. That is the nature of devotional service to Krishna. And that's what the spiritual seekers since time immemorial have been saying, that's all I want from you, O God. Just service for the sake of service, nothing else. Because that's the highest happiness. And why do people serve? Because they get some happiness. Please understand, servant, hard work, labor, that's about it. No, because there is a deep joy and pleasure in that service. A mother, when she serves her child, it's an immense amount of satisfaction. Correct me if I am wrong, she takes more pleasure in child eating rather than she eating by herself. She cannot bear to eat herself without leaving her child aside, and other way around works. She can easily forego her own meals in lieu of filling her child's belly. Because there is some happiness, there is some sense of sacrifice. Make sense? All right. Any questions? Yes, Kushalji.
Prabhu, my question is in the attempt to become humble, in the attempt to become servant of Lord. So, how one, how one doesn't lose one's self-esteem? I mean, is it possible to have self-esteem and being humble and servant of the Lord at the same time?
Awesome question. Let's see the life. You had something to add, or you had a question? Okay. No, we'll come back to that. So, let's take the example of Prahlad Maharaj. Was he an unalloyed devotee of Krishna? Or Lord Narasimha? Or Lord Vishnu? He was the only devotee in his entire father's kingdom. His fathers had powerful spies all over the world. the demigods would tremble when Hiranyakashipu would just raise his eyebrows at displeasure. Such power that he possessed. And Prahlad Maharaj was a boy of 5 years old. He had basically no protection, no source of hope or confidence from anywhere, because his teachers were demons, his classmates were demons, his father was harassing him, trying to say, chant my names or I'm going to kill you. His mother couldn't do much because his father was so powerful. All he had to do is, Father, whatever you say, I'll do. And it can be easily explained that he was following his father's instruction, which is the dharma of a son. Yes or yes? So even had he said, okay, I will not publicly say that chanting the name of Vishnu is the highest, I will do it in private. His father would have been happy because externally he would have shown that I am the master. But he said every time that Lord Vishnu is supreme, and this irritated his father more and more and more and more and more. And he would devise more deadlier methods to kill his son. So because his father was shocked with this one point, I rule the entire universe, how is it that my own son defies me? And then he became curious at one point. So he asked Prahlad, where is your power to defy me coming from? And what did Prahlad say? The source of my power is the same as the source of your power. And that is Lord Vishnu. And this irked him even more. But externally he was very respectful towards his father. So you see where the trying times come, the devotee's confidence is not shaken in Krishna. Utsaha nischaya dhairyat. That confidence is never shaken. In fact, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, Avashya Rakshive Krishna. That Krishna will protect me. I have that confidence, irrespective of how things go. So there is a simultaneous utter confidence in Krishna versus a simultaneous utter humility in dealing with others. So when this comes in perfect harmony, then we find the balance to pursue our devotional service. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? All right. Jagrini Mataji had a point.
I just wanted to read the definition of self-esteem.
Please.
Confidence in one's own worth or abilities. Self-respect.
Excellent. Thank you. So, as devotees, we do have our self-esteem. And that comes from our confidence in Krishna, saying that He will protect me under all circumstances. Yeah. So at work also, if there is some unfair means going on, you should report it but tolerate it. So either not reporting and then just going brimfire stone against the person might not be also the best option. In some cases it might be justified. Again, it all depends. Other questions, comments? All right. Let us go on to the next paragraph, please.
This Krishna consciousness movement is being spread all over the world just to remedy this gross ignorance. People in general are misled by blind leaders. The leaders of human society, the politicians, philosophers, and scientists are blind because they are not Krishna conscious. According to Bhagavad Gita 7:15, because they are bereft of all factual knowledge due to their atheistic way of life, they are actually sinful rascals and are the lowest among men. Namam drishtkritino mudaha prapadyante naradamaha mayaya pahrita gnana asurim bhavam ashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons do not surrender unto me.
Thank you. So, next paragraph, please.
Such people never surrender to Krishna, and they oppose the endeavor of those who wish to take Krishna's shelter. When such atheists become leaders of society, the entire atmosphere is surcharged with the naysayers. In such a condition, people do not become very enthusiastic to receive this Krishna consciousness movement. Just as diseased person suffering from jaundice does not relish the taste of sugar candy, however, one must know that for jaundice, sugar candy is the only specific medicine. Similarly, in the present confused state of humanity, Krishna consciousness, the chanting of holy name of Lord
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
is the only remedy for setting the world aright. Although Krishna consciousness may not be very palatable for a diseased person, Srila Rupa Goswami nonetheless advises that if one wants to be cured of this material disease, he must take it with a great care and attention. One begins his treatment by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because by chanting this holy name of the Lord, a person in the material condition will be relieved from all misconceptions. Sito Darpana Marjanam. Avidya, a misconception about one's spiritual identity, provides the foundation of ahankara or false ego within the heart.
Questions, comments? Okay.
What could be a misconception of spirituality?
I am God, or I am the enjoyer, I am the controller, I know everything, I can exploit others, I have no rules and regulations to follow. So many. Or I am a man, I am a woman, I am a victim, I am a perpetrator, I am police, I am American, I am Indian, I am Muslim. The world is full of them, full of misconceptions. So let's go with the next one, because this is really applicable. As we read, we'll see what are the different stages of chanting. And Srila Prabhupada says, why did we even establish our society? So,
the real disease is in the heart. If the mind is cleansed, however, if consciousness is cleansed, a person cannot be harmed by the material disease. To cleanse the mind and heart from all misconceptions, one should take to this chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is both easy and beneficial. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is immediately freed from the blazing fire of material existence.
next paragraph, please. Lauren.
There are 3 stages in chanting the holy name of the Lord: the offensive stage, the stage of lessening offenses, and the pure stage. When a neophyte takes to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, he generally commits many offenses. There are 10 basic offenses, and if the devotee avoids these, he can glimpse the next stage, which is situated between offensive chanting and pure chanting. When one attains the pure stage, he is immediately liberated. This is called Bhava Mahadavagani Nirvapanam. As soon as one is liberated from the blazing fire of material existence, he can relish the taste of transcendental life.
Thank you. Yeah, please do the next.
The conclusion is that in order to get freed from the material disease, one must take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. The Krishna consciousness movement is especially meant for creating an atmosphere in which people can take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra.
Can you please repeat that statement again?
The Krishna consciousness movement is especially meant for creating an atmosphere in which people can take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. One must begin with faith, and when this faith is increased by chanting, a person can become a member of the society. We are sending Sankirtan parties all over the world, and they are experiencing that even in the remotest part of the world, where there is no knowledge of Krishna, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra attracts thousands of men to our camp. In some areas, people begin to imitate the devotees by shaving their heads and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra only a few days after hearing the mantra. This may be imitative, but imitation of a good thing is desired. Some imitators gradually become interested in being initiated by the spiritual master and offer themselves for initiation.
I have a question though. So often we are told not to imitate those who are advanced than us, or imitate like Mahabhagavats or Gopis. In fact, there is a very perverse way of doing that, and it's become very a farce kind of thing, and we railed against Sahajas and this and that. But Srila Prabhupada is doing a U-turn here. He says imitation of a good thing is okay, which means Mahabhagavat is good, why not imitate? So what is the statement? Yes, Swapnil Prabhu. So it seemed to be contradictory here, isn't it?
Prabhu, so it is said that we shouldn't imitate a Mahabhagavat because usually such imitation is done out of desire for fame, which the Mahabhagavat has. A pure devotee may have great fame, great respect. People may just bow down to a pure devotee. So when one is desirous of that fame, so out of that cheap desire for fame, one tries to imitate. Like the example where one Brahmin tried to imitate Haridas Thakur when there was a snake charmer singing about Krishna dancing on Kaliya. So that is something like cheap imitation of Mahabhagavad.
So imitation is not a good thing.
If
Sorry, I'm putting you on spot. So you can back out anytime you say don't put me on spot. I understand.
No,
because we need to understand deeper.
Yes.
Because people take it and beat it back, saying take the book and beat on the head. Hey, it's there mentioned here. We can do it. So please go ahead. After this, Vijay is ready. Okay.
So yeah, here Prabhupada is talking at a different level. Say Acharyas chant Hare Krishna. So if we chant Hare Krishna, that imitation, just imitating the act. So it's not done with a desire for fame. It is done because it is good. Because Acharyas have followed a great path, I will also follow it. It is done in the mode of following in their footsteps. So following in footsteps of the great souls is a good thing, but imitating them, thinking that I'll also get the same fame which they have, that is not a good desire. So.
Okay, thank you for sharing your thoughts, Vijay. And then Jagarini Mataji.
I was also thinking on the same line, but I contradicted myself, so...
Okay, let's hear your contradictions.
So, I was thinking that the intention is pure, then one can try to imitate, but it can also be contradicted because Sakhajas, they also don't have, some of them don't have desire to just get fame or something like that. They think it is the real path and then they take it and imitate. So, which is not a good thing. So, that is the contradiction.
Okay, thank you. Mataji, Jagarini Mataji.
I just wanted to say as a general rule, I think that for every statement that Prabhupada made, you can find a contradictory statement. And depending on the mood of the devotees, these arguments are going on.
Yeah.
But it takes, as you said, a deeper understanding of what Prabhupada meant, a discrimination of sorts.
Thank you.
And imitating the mantra is on a different level than imitating the actions of someone who's very advanced, and you're not ready to do that yet.
Outstanding. Shravya, what did you have to say?
I think the imitation depends on the intention. Like on how she said it, if a dancer were to imitate their teacher, if imitating the teacher with the intention of understanding the dance separates it from the imitation of pretending to be the teacher or wanting what the teacher has or try to get where the teacher is, that's what makes it separate. I think that's what they're trying to say here. When you have no idea about what you're doing, but then you see there is something divine in this and you imitate it as the divine, as the goal, then I think that's what separates it from the other kind of imitations out there.
Thank you, Madhavi Mataji. And before that, Sutramalika Prabhu, please pull up 6th canto, 2nd chapter, please.
I think in some cases imitation is good because Prabhupada said Indians mostly following Americans, they're imitating Americans. So now I made them devotees, so imitate them now.
Excellent. What fine points are coming out from this. Seriously. Saturday, Sunday afternoons when everything are done, especially weather is cloudy like this, all you need is a blanket, a pillow and a nice bed. After lunch, mind you. And by Krishna's mercy, I have been having this service for last 7 or 8 years. It's not uncommon to see that phenomena happening in the Bhakti Shastri classes. But that you all came withstanding that intense desire to sleep, you are reaping this nectarian gems. Seriously, discussing this threadbare, I am learning today. Really, I mean it. So, all our outstanding points, especially Jagrini Mataji said that imitation of the name versus following the Acharya, and there is a scriptural injunction which supports Srila Prabhupada's statement. If you can come down to 22nd, 23rd verse. Just, please type in just, search for just, the word just. J-E-S-T. Do you have anything there? Okay. First chapter, please. First chapter of the 6th canto. You can type just. Search for just. Is there, and there. Third or fourth. It should be in the 3rd or 4th. Let's look it up. Oh yes, I think it's in the 3rd. It's not there. Yamraj instructs, please come down. Maybe it is. No. Please come down. It will be in the 3rd. Come down, please come down. Let's see. Wait. In the order of they're baffled. Come here, come down. Yeah, same thing. Here, the thing is I'm looking for is actual scriptural statement which says even if you chant the names of the Lord in jest or criticism or, one who chants just even willfully or out of imitation, hey, Hare Krishna, fellows. 6 to 14, there we have a Pandit amongst us. Thank you. Saved me. 6 to 14, 1-4. 6th canto, 2nd chapter, 14th verse. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Let's all belt it out together. Sanketyam parihasyam va stobam helanam eva va vaikuntanama grahanam aseshaghaharam viduhu. Translation. if you can come down, I'll do it. One who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from reactions of unlimited sins, even if he chants directly to indicate something else, jokingly, for musical entertainment, or even neglectfully. This is accepted by all learned scholars of the scriptures. So when Srila Prabhupada said they shave and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra imitating the devotees, there is still some strength as long as you chant the names of Krishna even in a willful way. So that is the imitation which Srila Prabhupada was talking about. So in that sense, yes, it is a good thing that you imitate. But not from... so again, there is a discrimination on where you versus where you not. I mean, if to imitate Krishna's pastimes is a very dangerous thing, as we kind of discussed. So is that kind of a good reason why it is mentioned? The imitation came about. Okay, Ashok Prabhu had raised his hand for some reason. Same point. All right. Thank you. All right. Let's go ahead with our continuation of Nectar of Instruction. Okay, good.
If one is sincere, he is initiated, and this stage is called Bhajana Kriya. One then actually engages in the service of the Lord by regularly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 16 rounds daily and refraining from illicit sex, intoxicants, meat eating and gambling. By Bhajan Kriya, one attains freedom from the contamination of materialistic life. He no longer goes to a restaurant or hotel to taste so-called palatable dishes made with meat and onions, nor does he care to smoke or drink tea or coffee. He not only refrains from illicit sex but avoids sex life entirely, nor is he interested in wasting his time in speculating or gambling. In this way, it is to be understood that one is becoming cleansed of unwanted things, anartha nivritti. The word anartha refers to unwanted things. Anarthas are vanquished when one becomes attached to the Krishna conscious movement.
So, again, there is a caveat there that one who has become freed by Bhajana Kriya, one attains freedom from the contamination of materialistic life. So that process takes time. For some, it is fast. For some, it is going to take some time slow. So again, we kind of have that balance to make sure, if you are going to a restaurant, then you are completely in Maya, you are an illusion, you are useless fool. Again, if you take it strictly by the book without taking the context, then you have this strong conservative views and you can beat up others saying that you are doing these things. But everybody's spiritual progress is natural and you can automatically feel it as you advance in spiritual life. Initially, when you are in the conditioned state, a man or a woman is completely controlled by their desires. They do what they have to. They are acting completely under the spell of modes of material nature. There is no question of freedom from it. But as you advance, then you tolerate them. They come, but you won't act on it. You won't give in to it. And when you are actually advanced, they won't even arise. Or those same desires become distasteful to begin with. So everybody is on a particular stage. So we recognize and act accordingly. But that is the goal though. I want to reach a stage where really these things have no juice in them, right? That's the word. I mean, that is the goal, and that is the goal, to completely be cleansed of material contamination. And we have to work to get there. And there could be sometimes stumbling, there could be some roadblocks, there could be some outside factors, internal factors that can prevent us. But our attitude is, I am not going to budge in spite of whatever happens. My goal is Krishna, and that's my story, I'm sticking to it. There will be here and there. Because people sometimes who take initiation, they think life has to be perfect afterwards. But life is just not perfect, not in Silicon Valley, not it is. And there could be so many issues. For example, you have a regulation of waking up every day morning early and chant your rounds. But one day you have to work late, you have to work like 2 o'clock in the morning because of some issue. Then what? You're fallen, useless. Chanting is not for me. Let us drop it. This whole thing is too much. Or it's very impractical. If God, I'm serving Him, why is He making me work till 2 a.m.? Or why is He making me work at all? Why don't I open the bank account online or open my mailbox? I should be seeing the check without me going to office. But please understand, it is not a perfect realistic life. We have some steps to go ahead. But our faith in association of devotees remains strong. Is that making sense? Or I am putting everybody in Maya? Please understand, the goal of these classes is not to slacken the principles, but the idea is to face them in a realistic and a holistic fashion without being disappointed, depressed, or disturbed. Because the inevitable reverses do come, either in the form of health, external factors. Well, we remain strong in association of devotees. And that's our greatest asset. Does what am I saying make sense? Thank you. All right, because we really want to reach where the next paragraph mentions. So let's go ahead. Please read the next paragraph.
When a person is relieved from unwanted things, he becomes fixed in executing his Krishna activities. Indeed, he becomes attached to such activities and experiences ecstasy in executing devotional service. This is called bhava, the preliminary awakening of dormant love of Godhead. Thus, the conditioned soul becomes free from material existence and loses interest in the bodily conception of life, including material opulence, material knowledge, and material attraction of all variety. At such a time, one can understand who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is and what His Maya is.
So, okay, good. So, bhava, for those who have not taken the Nectar of Devotion class, how many devotees have not been in the Nectar of Devotion semester? So, thank you. So, we are in the first semester. We'll do the Bhagavad Gita for next 2 semesters. And in the 4th semester, we'll do the first part of Nectar of Devotion. Bhava is the preliminary stage of love of Godhead, and which we do in the chapters of 17 and 18 of Nectar of Devotion. So we'll get into the more deeper things. So my request on what bhava is, please attend the 4th semester. Thank you. All right. Go ahead, Mataji. Radhika Prema Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Although Maya may be present, it cannot disturb a devotee once he attains the bhava stage. This is because the devotee can see the real position of Maya. Maya means forgetfulness of Krishna, and forgetfulness of Krishna and Krishna consciousness stand side by side like light and shadow. If one remains in shadow, he cannot enjoy the facilities offered by light, and if one remains in light, he cannot be disturbed by the darkness of shadow. By taking to Krishna consciousness, one gradually becomes liberated and remains in light. Indeed, he does not even touch the darkness. As confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22.31, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andhakara, Yaha Krishna Taha Nahi Mayara Adhikara. Krishna is compared to sunshine and Maya is compared to darkness. Wherever there is sunshine, there cannot be darkness. As soon as one takes to Krishna consciousness, the darkness of illusion, the influence of the external energy, will immediately vanish.
Thank you. It's powerful purport, huh? Very deeply inspiring purport by Srila Prabhupada. Because this mere chanting of Hare Krishna actually is going to give you the love of Godhead. Now, I'll give a brief thing. Just it's always good to remind ourselves, this crazy person talks about love of Godhead. But really, what is love of Godhead? And, love I get everywhere in the world. Everybody can give me love. So what is this special about this love of Godhead? The brief introduction is that we are here to achieve Krishna Prema or love of Godhead, because Krishna is the complete, full Atma Rama. He is self-satisfied, he is the source of all rasas, and he is the maintainer of everybody. To love such a person is a very, very extraordinary and special thing. Even the demigods have no clue about it, because they try. Brahma goes and in his Brahma Vimohan Leela, he steals the calves and the cowherd boyfriends of Krishna, and then hides them for an year. When he comes back later, he offers profound prayers at the lotus feet of Krishna. And in one of the prayers he said, "May I be born even as a grass, a creeper, somewhere in Vrindavan, so that the residents of Vrindavan may trample upon me, and thus I may get the benefit of the dust from their lotus feet." So even Brahma has no clue of what the residents of Vrindavan enjoy with Krishna. And that is what is love of Godhead. It's impossible to get under any circumstances. And forget Kali Yuga folks like us. But by mercy of Mahaprabhu, it's easy, it's accessible and available in this age. So what is unavailable even to the demigods, Mahaprabhu came to give us. Therefore he is called the most munificent incarnation, because he's giving something that never has been distributed before. So, and that a drop of that love completely saturates the heart to the extent that you don't seek anything else. So we'll do text 8. At least let's get started. Yes, Mother Govind Prabhu. Then we have some hope of doing something this semester. Yes.
It was said that in the Bhav stage one doesn't get disturbed, right? Then Bharat Maharaj, was he also in the Bhav stage? Because I heard of it. Excellent point. So Srila Rupa Goswami writes that even in the Bhava state, in nectar of devotion, if you commit Vaishnava Aparadha, you will fall down. Regarding Maharaj Bharat on why he fell down, there are various theories about it. One thing is that he voluntarily fell down to show that even at that stage, if you neglect the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you can fall down. And the second reason is, even at Bhava state, anytime the devotee has a voluntary choice to serve Krishna. Even so, it was not that Maya disturbed him, he gave in into Maya at that point of time. And some acharyas say he did it to prove to the world that, even at that stage you can fall down. The others said that he did it to show to the world about how dangerous is material world and how it cannot be trusted at any point of time. So there are a few examples for that. But let me read a little more. If I can get more satisfactory explanation, I'll come back to you with that. Yes? Like when we look at the verse 4 and 5, where we describe about what kind of relationship between the devotees should be there, and then the next verse, the verse is about the different levels of devotees. And Prabhupada says in the first few lines, saying that to have the sixfold exchanges, you need to know which level. So in that way, what is the relation between the fifth, sixth, and like sixth and seventh and eighth? Is there any interconnection?
Excellent. Did everybody get the question? Okay. So Madhav Govinda Prabhu says that in the fourth verse, there are 6 kinds of loving exchanges. And in the fifth verse, there are 3 kinds of devotees. So you can know in the fourth and fifth, the linkage is that you know how to respect the devotees. I mean, if there is an Uttamadhikari, you don't go and slap on the back and say, "What's up, dude?" You just go bow down at him, serve him, so on and so forth. So between 6th and 7th, is there any difference you are asking? So 5th and 6th is clear. Uttamadhikari, and then with the Uttamadhikari you don't distinguish. on the bodily features. So after talking about devotees, Rupa Goswami actually starts from the 6 and 7 begins with sadhana and raganuga. The 7th is sadhana and the 8th is raganuga. So when you associate with devotees, so it is Shraddha, faith, then Sadhu Sangha. We talked about all these different kinds of Sadhu Sangha, and then it's becoming Bhajana Kriya. The 7th is Bhajana Kriya. You could start chanting the names of Krishna, and in that, so it's faith, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha. How do you associate? Then Bhajana Kriya. And Bhajana Kriya and Anartha Nivritti are going in here. Because the diseased roots will be completely destroyed at the heart. Okay. Swapnil Prabhu.
So Prabhu, are the first 3 verses under the section of Shraddha?
You can say that to an extent.
Okay.
To an extent, yes. These are loosely based. You can't hardcore bucket them. Because when you talk of Uttama Adhikari, there is also how they are completely absorbed in serving the deities. So there is also some Bhajana Kriya. Even in the Madhyama Adhikari who are faithfully worshipping the deities, there is also the Bhajana Kriya is there, right? Serving the deities is also a Bhajana Kriya. Does that answer your question? So it loosely you can divide it like that, but if you go minutely, then you will find millions of places where it's overlapping. Make sense? Madhav Govinda Prabhu, satisfies? Or you can go threadbare. You can ask the same thing multiple times because I speak nonsense most of the time, so you need to clarify. All right, text 8, we'll at least get that. Who is the Sunday speaker, please? It's not me for sure, so you don't have to endure another 2 hours. Oh, very nice. Text 72. Text 8, page 72. My apologies. Kindly repeat after me. Tannama rupa charitadi sukirtananu smrityo kramena rasana manasi niyojya Tishtan vraje tadanuragi jananugami Kalam nayedakilamityupadeshasaram Is this one of the verses for memorization? Did anybody even take a look at the verses for memorization? This is not for memorization. Thank you, Venugita Mataji. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Golok, Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to devotional service. So I'll give, probably we can spend the next class also doing Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, I mean. We'll have at least complete this book and then we'll go back to, okay, at least so that way we know we are kind of, there is some. In Nectar of Devotion, in the initial stages is called, what is the initial bhakti called? Sadhana Bhakti. Sadhana Bhakti, why do you perform Sadhana Bhakti? Because you do it under the guidance of a spiritual master and or fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no question of love at that point of time. There is just obedience to the rules of Guru and obedience to the fact that, it's my life was much more beneficial if I perform devotional service. But after that, the devotional service is not according to rules, it becomes spontaneous. As in that the devotees don't follow strictly the rules. I'll give an example. How many rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra were the gopis of Vrindavan chanting every day? Jagrini was 0. Yes, Jagrini Mataji's answer is correct. It's 0. We should be also doing 0 rounds every day. Following the footsteps of gopis, it's mentioned here. One should follow. It's right there. If you see, it's right there. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to His devotional service. We won't see the second line. We see only the first part of that sentence. So the gopis of Vrindavan, they were absorbed in serving Krishna 24/7. In fact, their whole life depended on serving Krishna. So when our sadhana becomes perfect, Rupa Goswami writes in Nectar of Devotion, the activities of devotion become spontaneous. Naturally, you love Krishna. You don't need a stick behind to love Krishna. And it becomes spontaneous. But in the Raganuga stage, there is Vaidhi sadhana. So in the Raganuga stage, we have also something called Ragatmika stage. So Raganuga is a spontaneous devotional service to Krishna. But in the Ragatmika state, you actually develop a deep desire to serve Krishna and you follow a particular group or a particular devotee who is engaged in serving Krishna in that rasa. And Govind Charan Prabhu is right here. So I will not be the culprit who holds the audience back from their beloved speaker who has come to listen to them. But if he allows me, just another couple of more minutes, we'll take some few questions. So Ragatmika is even advanced than Raganuga. And so here we get both Raganuga and Ragatmika. Ragatmika is you follow. Ragatmika devotees are already Nitya Siddha, eternally liberated souls, like Nanda Maharaj, the gopis, the cowherd boys of Vrindavan. They are always with Krishna. And when the perfection of sadhana happens, then naturally you like to serve Krishna in certain way. You like to serve Krishna as a mother, or you as a lover, as a friend. Then for further training, you get trained by these Ragatmika devotees who already are established in that service on how to serve Krishna. So when we say we should chant 0 rounds because the gopis chant 0 rounds, we are little distance before we come and claim to that stage. Is that help? So we should, again, the imitation that we talked about is highly discriminatory, and one should err on this side of caution than others. Does that make sense? Any final questions? 2 more minutes. One question, because Govind Charan Prabhu is here. If not, so next week's class or the following week, I might not be here in town, so it might get cancelled. So I'll just send out, we can have couple of choices. Next Sunday we can have a makeup class, pre-makeup class, or when I come back, then we can continue further. Jagrini Mataji has her hand up. Yes, thank you. 2:00 we have the parents, so I think we'll do it after I come back. So I'll just send out, everybody's on WhatsApp group, right? So in case the class is kind of getting cancelled, please do tune into your WhatsApp group just for the messages. And my apologies, I was a little bit late today. Thank you again for your very kind attendance, and thank you those who joined us online today. So Vancha Kalpa, Tarubhayascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha.
next time. Yeah,